In addition, we will be hearing from Mary Sheldon and Dawn Wimbush from the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network. I will begin with a few logistical details. To hear the audio portion of the webinar, you must call in as well as log on to the webinar using the link provided in your registration confirmation. If you are only listening today and want to follow along, we have attached handouts on our website. In order to ensure everyone can hear the webinar, all lines have been muted. Throughout the webinar, you may type questions for our presenters by using the chat box off to the side. As time allows, we will try to answer some of your questions. If you are having technical difficulties, you may let us know by typing the issue in the chat box and we will assist you. In this webinar, we will be asking you to participate by raising the hand feature or taking a poll. When we get to that portion of the webinar, you will receive further instructions. And it's easier to view the slides if you make them full screen on your computer. Now I'd like to take a few minutes just to share some information about the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network. The Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network strives to achieve excellence in early care by increasing the education level and skills of those who work for and care for infants and toddlers, whether in family day homes or in centers. 18 highly qualified infant and toddler specialists work in 9 regional offices across the state. The specialists provide 3 levels of services designed to strengthen the capacity of early care and education programs to deliver high quality services. To find out more about the services that the Infant and Toddler Specialist Network provides and to see who your specialist is, you can visit our website. In today's webinar, we will discuss exciting new resources and incentives offered by the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network and discover ways to assist you in setting professional goals and charting your course of professional development. Lisa is going to start us on our journey.
Hi everyone, please stand by.
Hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Professional development is an important way to continue enhancing our lives with experiences, knowledge, and credentials. The well-seasoned professional has been on many different professional development adventures, each one leaving them with new perspectives, new experiences, and new possibilities. During this webinar, we will be your travel guide, showing you many available options and helping you to find the right fit for your lifestyle and budget. We will be comparing your journey through professional development to sailing on a boat. Charting the course you plan to take can help keep you on course and ensure that you are taking the most efficient route on the smoothest waters. Just like with any trip you're going to take, the journey of professional development takes some planning. We must know a lot about ourselves as professional travelers if we're going to choose the destination that will be the most meaningful to our career. The places we've already been sometimes help us to choose where we should go next. It can be just as important to look at our travel log as it is to look at the map. We may already have stamps in our professional development passport that can help us navigate the way. We take into consideration past experiences, time, budget, and interest when planning a vacation. It must be the same way when we're planning our professional development course. We must have wind in our sails to help us move forward. Our wind is our motivation, our purpose. What is the wind in your sails? What makes you want to continue this journey forward? Take a minute to visualize your why. If this journey is brand new to us, our brain may be in overdrive looking all over the map. How do we know where to go first? Having a professional development plan in place can help us choose the correct direction to sail. Some of us prefer the comfort of staying close to home, while some of us are eager to see how far we can actually go. We must know our preferences, strengths, and limitations before embarking on any trip. Where are we starting from? Is it a port nearby? Have we been there before? Or are we choosing a lengthier adventure, one that takes many months of planning and saving before we can even set sail? To help us get to know the crew with us today, we're curious, what kind of professional development traveler are you? Do you just want to make it from point A to point B and stay where it's familiar? Are you looking for a small, jam-packed journey with the biggest bang for your time and your money? Do you enjoy a longer trip, one with lots of sights to see and meaningful excursions and a big destination on the horizon? On the screen, we have a poll for you to answer. If you could go ahead and select, which one of these do you think most represents your professional development style? I can see you guys answering. Awesome. Wait a few more seconds for everybody to finish clicking. Great, let's take a look at our results. We can see that a lot of you just prefer to do point A to point B and want to stay pretty close to home, while some of you want to take that big, huge leap and go on that grand adventure. Despite our different preferences, there's no wrong way to chart your course for professional development, as long as you have a plan in mind. There will be weather delays and detours, and sometimes the itinerary will have last-minute changes. But if you have a plan, it's easy to find ways to overcome these challenges and stay on course. Paula is going to help guide us into our first guest speaker.
Thank you, Lisa. As you all know, one path to improving quality and our professionalism is by going forward with our education. Well, we have some very exciting news from the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network. They're here to help. I would like to introduce Mary Sheldon, our Professional Development Coordinator from our central office at Child Development Resources. Hi, Mary. Thanks for being on the call with us. How are you today?
Hello.
Hi, Mary. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and hopefully that'll help our participants understand more what the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network, and specifically you, can help them with. I know you wear many hats. Well, what is it that you do that you can help providers find their way in the sea of professional development and education?
Okay. At first, I can help them to get started by talking to them about the steps that are needed and to set up a plan with them so that they can possibly point them in the right direction of whatever program that they're looking for, and also into an area that may have funds that can help them with their professional development.
Awesome. I know we have many providers that are always asking about ways to get more education. On our website, with the webinar information, we have a handout for you that is titled Back to School, and many of you might have received this in the mail. This handout has lots of great information on ways the Infant and Toddler Specialist Network can help. If I would call you, what help can you provide?
The first thing that providers need to do is fill out a professional development interest form, and that can be given to you all from your infant toddler specialist or through myself. We are planning to have the form on the website at a later date. Once I receive this form filled out, it helps me to understand what your interest is, and then I will be able to work with each provider on an individual basis to help coach and mentor them in the direction of whatever their needs are. For example, either the infant toddler endorsement, the CDA, or possibly the Infant Toddler Career Studies Certificate Program.
So I do notice in the handout there are 3 different options that you just talked about and are listed. The Virginia Department of Social Services Infant and Toddler Endorsement, the Infant Toddler Career Studies Certificate, and the CDA. Can you explain the differences between these?
Yes. I'll start off with the Infant Toddler Endorsement. That basically is 12 online courses along with a practical assessment that is graded. Some areas in our state, we have been piloting a classroom version for this, but we only offer 10 of the 12 courses, so the other 2 would have to be taken online. The CDA consists of 120 hours of training, a professional portfolio that has to be done by the provider, and then it follows up with a classroom observation and then a test. And then the Infant Toddler Career Study Certificate, depending on the location of your area, there's usually around 5 to 7 classes that are taken through a local community college. Each community college has their own program, and they differ just a little bit, but they're all college-level courses, which leads to a certificate in early childhood.
Thanks. That is helpful. I know many of us didn't even know that there were so many different options out there. If I decide on one of these options, what is my next step?
The first thing that you'll need to do is fill out that professional development interest form that I mentioned just a little bit ago, and you'll send it off to me checking off which option that you're interested in. And some people are interested in more than one, and that's possible also, but I recommend that you work on one at a time. And then I'll get in touch with you and send more information on the process, and we'll work a little bit closer together, either over the phone or through visits.
Awesome. I also noticed that the handout brochure that we had on our website also mentions incentives and scholarships. This will take us to our next slide. So Mary, what scholarships are out there and how do people apply?
There are 2 scholarship options that you can apply for to take classes at your local community college. The DSS scholarship can be applied at the website www.dss.virginia.gov, and then the Project Pathfinders can be applied at the website www.vecf.org. Both will pay for at least 2 classes per semester at a local community college, depending on approvals, and then Project Pathfinders has also been paying for the books for the courses. Project Pathfinders does require you, though, to fill out the DSS scholarship first, and they will ask you that on the application to verify that you have done that. We do want to note, though, that Project Pathfinders is in the midst of getting their funding renewed for the fall semester courses, but we are in hopes that it will continue. We do know that the DSS one right now is in continuum, but we are waiting to get final approval on Project Pathfinders getting refunded again.
I do want to note that those websites that Mary mentioned are up on the screen right now for the scholarships. They'll also be on the last slide, the resource slide. And of course, you can contact Mary, and she'll give you that information as well. But Mary, I did also want to ask you, because on that back-to-school handout, it also says the Virginia Infant Toddler Specialist Network is offering incentives. Can you explain that more?
Yes, we have some great incentives for infant and toddler teachers who are taking courses. We all have on the different levels between the 3 different programs. So for the infant and toddler endorsement, we offer gift cards after successful completion of the courses, which basically the grade has to be a 70 or higher. So for 3 courses, you get a $10 gift card. For 6 courses, you get a $20 gift card. 9 courses, you get another $20 gift card, and then after the 12 courses have been completed, you get a $50 gift card, which after you finish all of those would total up to $100 in gift cards for just completing the courses for the infant and toddler endorsement. Now for the CDA, we also offer gift cards with a grade of 70 or higher on coursework also. For 2 courses or 30 hours of training, you get a $20 gift card. For 4 courses or 60 hours of training, you get a $40 gift card. For 6 courses or 90 hours of training, you get a $60 gift card. And then after you finish the 8 courses or 120 training hours, you would receive an $80 gift card, which after you finish your training, which is 120 hours for the CDA, you'd get a total of 200 in gift cards for completing that training. And all of these gift cards are for your personal use. They're not for you. Do not have to use them in your classroom, but they are for you personally. And then last, the Infant and Toddler Career Study Certificate. Depending on the amount of classes that you have to take for the certificate program, we offer $100 for each course that you complete with a grade of 70 or higher for the college-level community course.
Wow, that sounds great. Can any provider get these incentives?
Any provider who works with children under 36 months qualifies for these incentives. Although we highly recommend that you work with the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network, you do not have to be currently working with them to qualify for the incentives.
Can a provider also get these incentives if they also receive scholarships that you talked about?
Yes, they are eligible for the scholarship and the incentives, but the scholarship only pays for classes taken at a community college.
I do notice we have a question about how to apply, I'm assuming for the incentives. How would that work again, Mary?
They would fill out the professional development interest form, and on that form there is a box that there's a checkoff box, and they would check off incentives, and they would send that to me. After they send that to me, I get in touch with them personally, have them fill out the application for incentives. They do have to send me a copy of their certificates of their training that shows that they've passed, and then I would get the gift cards to them.
And I want to remind everybody that to get that professional development interest form, they can either get it from their local infant and toddler specialist or contact you directly. I do have a couple more questions. Hopefully we answered that for our participants that asked that question. When in doubt, call Mary. But I also have a couple more questions. You've given us lots of great information, Mary. Is there anything else you want to add?
Just that we're really excited about this new great opportunity that we can offer the coaching and the mentoring to the infant and toddler teachers who are looking at furthering their professional development. Unfortunately, at this time, the Infant Toddler Specialist Network, we do not have the funds to pay for all the fees that are associated with the different programs, the CDA, the endorsement, and the early childhood classes. But we can, my job and my role is to help you possibly point you in the right direction and at least get some people started and have you possibly even check with your local child care program to see about training funds also.
Great. One more question. I noticed somebody is asking about specifically about them having some college credits, and then somebody about wanting that interest form. Again, I want to reiterate that's something you need to either contact your infant and toddler specialist or you can contact Mary. At a later date, that form will possibly be on our website.
Yes.
But for now, it's pretty easy to get a hold of through Mary or through your local infant and toddler specialist. And then she would have more specific information if you have specific questions about things you've already done and then what your next plan, of course, is. But I want to ask you, Mary, again, how do we contact you?
My email is Mary S, as in Sam, at cdr.org. My phone number is 757-378-3172. And then items can be faxed to me at 757-378-2791.
Thank you, Mary, so much. I know we're going to have a lot of questions about this. I'm hoping we have a lot of questions about this because it's such a great new program that the Infant and Toddler Specialist Network is offering. So Mary's information is on there. If you forget to write that down, you can also go to our website and find Mary's email address on there as well. But your local infant toddler specialist will know the information as well. Again, thank you so much, Mary, for being on this webinar with us. We hope that everyone out there takes advantage of all these great offerings in the state. And now we're going to go back to Lisa.
Thanks. It was great to hear from Mary and all of the different things we have to offer. But one of the questions we look at is when? When do we choose to start this? And where do we go to start to set sail? So while the Career Pathways serves as a telescope to look ahead and choose the course we plan to take, the IMPACT Registry serves as our manifest, helping us to log the information of who, what, where, and when. This manifest can be helpful to reference each time we begin a new journey and can serve as our captain's log to help others understand where we have been. Christy John, in a few minutes, is going to help us by explaining what the IMPACT Registry is and how to use it. But these different types of course maps are designed to meet the needs of different types of professional development travelers, such as yourselves, whether you're looking for a short course or a long adventure. We're going to take a moment to think of which option might be best suited for your journey. So on the next screen, we're going to have another poll. I would like you guys to pick the one you think best represents the course you would choose to take at this time. Would it be the endorsement that Mary just spoke to us about? Would it be the CDA, the Career Study Certificate, or would you use those scholarships for those community college courses? Take a few more minutes to let people answer. I see some answers are still coming in. I know it's hard to choose which one at this point. We hope we'll be giving you the information to help you really narrow it down. All right, we're going to skip over to our results. So it looks like the majority of people would love to take advantage of some of those scholarships for those Virginia community colleges. And I think that's a great opportunity. And I hope that you guys will look into each of the options that Mary discussed with us in further detail in choosing the right one for you. You may find that you're a person who's happy where they are or looking for the next learning opportunity. That new opportunity might include one or all of the endorsement courses, or maybe you have your sales set towards an associate's degree. Regardless of the journey you're on, it can be helpful to identify where you are on the map professionally and where you'd like to go. What if you don't know the various ports you can visit on this cruise ship of professional development? You're in luck. The Virginia Department of Social Services developed tools to help as you attempt to reach your desired destination. Christy is going to share two of them with you today. Are you with us, Christy?
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thanks.
So as previously mentioned, one of those tools is known as the IMPACT Registry. This is a tool that is voluntary. In school-age care profession within the Commonwealth. I'm still here.
I'm sorry, we lost you there for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
Want to start back from the beginning of the IMPACT Registry?
I sure can. As long as you can hear me, I'll start over.
All right, thank you.
Sure. The IMPACT Registry is a voluntary statewide tool that documents and recognizes the professional achievements of trainers, relationship-based providers, and child care providers who work in the early education field and school-age care profession within the community of Virginia. Wondering if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to raise your hand if you have heard of the IMPACT Registry. I'm going to give you all a moment. I see a couple people have raised their hand. Okay, that's good. It looks like we have over 70 participants, and we're looking at maybe less than 10%. And that is not uncommon. A lot of people haven't heard of it. Well, that's always good. I'm always glad to bring new information to child care providers. So it is for practitioners, lead teachers, assistant teachers, owners, directors. It's also for trainers or specialists as well as support staff. It's an organized collection of education, training, and professional accomplishments. It's wonderful because it's an online tool, so you can access this at any time. It is password protected, so it's only available to you unless you choose to share the information that's kept there. It's basically built-in professional development as it recognizes your accomplishments, helps you plan for future education goals or to close any gaps that you've had in trainings. You also have access to the tips calendar and other training information when you join the IMPACT Registry. There are resources to help you support your professional development, such as financial. So there are additional scholarships and incentives that you may find information on at that website as well, and I'll share that with you when I'm on the next slide. Gives you information to plan formal or informal education. I know that you shared early on the type of traveler you are. I love the analogy that Lisa shared with us. And this can help you regardless of the type of learner that you are. It also can help you collect and record information that will help you in your own personal career growth. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Nope, not going to move to the next slide just yet. Again, I want to just reinforce that it's not just for those in the field as teachers or assistants, but for trainers as well. And so the wonderful thing about the IMPACT Registry is not only does it collect your information, but it allows you to recall your information in the form of a resume or to add to your portfolio. So there are various reasons you might need a resume, and it's not always because you're looking for a new job. Perhaps you're looking for a promotion within the establishment that you're working, and that's just a wonderful way to document your accomplishments from year to year. I'll talk a little bit more about the IMPACT Registry and what it can do after I share with you another tool that is available, and it is the Career Pathways. So make sure we can move over. There we go. So this next slide is the Career Pathways for Early Childhood, and it's actually one of the handouts that you can download from our website if you're having trouble seeing it here. I know it's really tiny, but I'm going to share with you a little bit about the information that's on it. But again, it is a handout that's on our website for you to download yourself. If you can see this, you'll see that it's been categorized into different levels on the screen right now. You should be able to see that there's a green level and a yellow level. There is a third level. It's blue. The blue level is at the top, and it represents those in the field who've completed a degree in early childhood from an associate's degree to a doctoral degree, including courses related to young children. So when you enter information into the IMPACT Registry, and you do that online, again, I'll give you those instructions in a moment. Once you've entered in all the information that is necessary on that registry, it will let you know at what level professionally you fall on this Career Pathways chart. So if you've achieved the associate to doctoral degree, your level would be in the blue section, which is levels 6 through 9. The next section is green, and it recognizes those who have decided to take their training a step further by earning anywhere from 48 to over 120 hours. You'll note here that the CDA is listed, the Career Studies Certificate is listed, and the endorsement, the Virginia Department of Social Services endorsement courses are listed in this category as well. So again, when you are thinking about your career and your professional development and growth and trying to identify where a gap may exist for you. So actually one of the participants asked us about eligibility. If I've already achieved an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, where can I go with this? Well, the truth is, while we look at this as a numerical leveling 1 through 9, if you have already achieved, let's say you're at level 9, that doesn't mean that you may not want, doesn't mean that you don't want to make your goal to get a Career Studies Certificate or a CDA. There's lots of information that's shared through these other courses. They're just as valuable as if you were to get an advanced degree. So if you feel like you're already at level 9, then you may want to go back and look at some areas that you haven't achieved, let's say the endorsement. I know that the endorsement is an underutilized system within the state of Virginia, so that is a great place to get some more information that maybe you didn't get in your advanced degree. I do currently hold an advanced degree, and I've learned more in the green section, I think, about early childhood and child development, especially with infants and toddlers, than I did in my college courses. So I think, this helps us also recognize, and I hope that you realize that any level of education that you strive for is helpful to advance your career. Below the green section, you'll see there the yellow section. It's the foundational section, or level 1. Again, that doesn't state that it's the lowest section. It's just often where many people start out in their career. And it represents those who have at least 24 hours of training and meets other basic requirements such as first aid and CPR. So again, if you have a doctoral degree but no first aid and CPR, that might be a place that you want to identify as an area that you have a gap. So just like you would use Google or Waze, even sometimes you already know where you're going, but it's helpful to know what time you'll be there and if there's going to be traffic along the way. We still sometimes put in those coordinates as to where we're going in those tools because we like tools that can help us. So the IMPACT Registry is an online tool that can help us identify where we'd like to go. It documents and records our accomplishments, and the career pathways can help you plan your training, education, and career development goals so you can be well prepared to educate, nurture, and meet the needs of young children and their families. Please note again that you can begin and end your professional journey at any level that makes the most sense to you. Whichever tools you use, be sure to check out the TIPS calendar for additional professional development so that you can help create a professional development plan. If you'd like to learn more about the IMPACT Registry or the career pathways, or to obtain additional information about training such as the TIPS calendar, if you're not familiar with the TIPS calendar, it is a resource, a tool offered by the Virginia Department of Social Services to share with you information about trainings that are offered across the entire state. One of the benefits of using the TIPS calendar is you can just identify which region of the state that you live in or where you'd like to attend training, and it will just show you trainings in your area. Or if you're one of those willing to travel and go on an adventure, then you can look at the trainings all across the state and choose the one that works best for you. Again, I just would like to stress that it's important that you create a plan, and the TIPS calendar is one of those ways that you can look to see what training is being offered. Some of those trainings are planned a year in advance, so you'd be surprised at how far you can work on your professional development plan. So www.childcareva.com is a website, and you want to choose Training and Professional Development. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the bottom two resources, and one of those is the IMPACT. Again, you'll find the TIPS calendar here as well, and the very last bullet on that page is directions to join. There's also an IMPACT Registry website if you'd like to go straight to that website, and that is www.va.impactregistry.org. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our next guest, Dawn Wimbush. She provides support to all infant and toddler mental health consultants in regions of the state. She earned a master's in psychology and a level 2 infant mental health endorsement. She also provides training on a variety of infant toddler mental health topics. Dawn, will you tell us about this wonderful new program the Infant Toddler Specialist Network has to offer?
Yes, thank you, Christy. The Infant Toddler Mental Health Consultant Program is a new state initiative under the Infant Toddler Specialist Network, and we're designed to support the state pyramid/cephal model of social-emotional development. And currently we have divided the state into 5 regions. As you see on your flyer, there's 5 full-time consultants, one covering each one of the regions. And if you look under their picture, you can see which regions they cover. Each one of the consultants come with early childhood experience. And part of our job requirement is that we also have to be infant mental health endorsed, or they have to earn the infant mental health endorsement and maintain it. Our role is to support child care providers from birth to 36 months of age in promoting healthy social-emotional development, preventing challenging behaviors, and providing intervention for children presenting behavioral concerns. We're also providing local training on various topics such as social-emotional development, infant toddler mental health, self-regulation, and challenging behaviors. We can also provide specific training to individual centers or family day homes on topics such as staff wellness, team building, stress prevention, and work-life balance. We are currently accepting referrals from child care providers, as I said earlier, from birth to 36 months of age. We are not currently have our IRB approval yet, so we cannot work with individual children, but we can work with individual classrooms and programs to provide services. This allows consultants to work with programs and to conduct pre- and post-social-emotional environmental observations using the tippy toes, which is the Pyramid Infant Toddler Observation Scale. And they would get pre- and post measures. And after they complete the screening, the observations, then they will develop a treatment plan. They will complete the treatment plan. And once that treatment plan is developed, then they will provide on-site coaching and consulting services. And the length of those services will vary depending on the need of that particular classroom or that particular center. Once we gain our IRB approval, we will be able to provide services to individual children. And once we provide services to individual children, not only will we do pre- and post-environmental observations, but we also will provide pre- and post-ASQ3 and ASQ-SC screenings and pre- and post-parental scene screenings. And this will help us get a full understanding of what is going on with the individual child and the individual environment that that child is in. Then we will develop another social-emotional plan, and then we can provide on-site coaching and consulting services to assist with that individual child with the hopes to make sure that child can remain in that individual placement. Our goal is to have that child not be removed from that particular center. So that's basically our program in a nutshell. Any questions about that? If not, I can go on to the next slide. And on the next slide, you will see a flyer for our upcoming Infant Mental Health Conference, and it will be held in Richmond. And our keynote speaker is John Richardson Love of Child Savers. He will be addressing trauma and how trauma affects social-emotional development and things and strategies that child care providers can do to help children who have experienced traumatic events. We will also have two different workshops. One workshop will be called Time Together, and during this workshop, we will be focusing on how to promote social-emotional development, some red flags, so we would know what we're concerned about. We'll also be talking about attachment as well. And then in the other workshop is going to be called Bounce Back Through Books, and this will focus on building resiliency and bonding while reading books. In that workshop, participants will also learn how to use books to read to their children and how to foster that resiliency and how to foster secure attachments. And we will also have some brief information about the infant mental health endorsement. We would love to see child care providers there at that conference. The fee is $30. Any questions about the conference? Okay, Chris, if there's no questions, you can go ahead and do the poll.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dawn. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share this wonderful new resource with our programs. I do see one question in the chat box. The question here is, are the classes conducted by an infant and toddler specialist free or not? And I think you did answer that. There was, I believe you said, a $30 fee for the conference that day?
Yes, the conference is $30.
Okay.
And it's two workshops and a main keynote speaker.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
There's a keynote speaker and two workshops, and the fee is $30. And that includes lunch.
Great. Oh, it includes lunch. Well, that's always good, I think, so thank you. Again, we appreciate your time this afternoon. So the next thing that we have for us is a poll. So Dawn mentioned that there were several services that were offered to her, offered to programs to choose to participate in the mental health services. So if you look on your screen, you'll see the following question. Which of the following will be most beneficial to learn more about your program or classroom? So you'll see there, and the program and classroom is in regards to the infant mental health program. So do you think that learning about challenging behavior strategies is most important to you? The expression of emotions in young children? Mental health information for you, your staff? Early mental health development in regards to young children? Or staff wellness and stress prevention? So if you wouldn't mind, take a moment and click which one you think would be most beneficial for your program to learn. I see some people are commenting in the chat box, which is fine as well. We're getting in some responses. I can't say I'm surprised by what I'm seeing so far in the responses. I'll give you about another minute. We're getting one or two here coming in. Take your time. Slowly trickling in. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. This is helpful for us infant and toddler specialist, as well as I think for Dawn to share with her consultants, as we are constantly out in the field, and our main goal is to provide information, training, resources that are helpful to you. So having input from you is really appreciated. All right. We've got about 50 responses, and the results are in. Challenging behavior strategies. Again, that's something that I think I hear in almost every, if not every classroom, at least in every building that I'm working in. And staff, wellness, and stress prevention. I think those two things sometimes go hand in hand. Sometimes the children's behavior is a direct reflection of our own ability to keep calm. And the truth is, in our work and in our field, sometimes we don't realize how much of our home life or the other things that are stressing us come into the classroom, and it can definitely manifest itself into children's behavior. So I really appreciate those of you who took the time to respond to this poll, and also who recognize all of these things are extremely important for us to learn about the expression of emotions, mental health information, early mental health and development. I did a training today, and we talked about how important it was for us to know ourselves and how to regulate our own emotions. And I know that's not necessarily the role of the infant mental health specialist, but certainly they are educated to be able to share information and resources so that we can begin to understand the impact that we have and that we bring to the classroom themselves. So thank you so much again, Dawn, and we appreciate this information from those of you in the audience. All right, so Lisa's going to talk to us a little bit about how we can stay the course. We share a lot of information for you today about resources that are available to you, planning your professional development path, and sometimes the truth is we sort of get lost along the way. We're not quite sure where we're going, or as Lisa asked us to visualize from the very beginning, visualize your why. And Lisa's going to talk to us a little bit about how we can stay the course. Lisa?
Thank you, Christy. So we've heard a lot of information today, just as Christy just said. Mary gave us a lot of options of courses we could take to really continue on this journey of professional development, and Dawn gave us some great resources and even a training that we could attend that would help this. So we've mapped out our options, we've charted our course, but then, ahoy, Captain, you've embarked on your adventure into the open sea of professional development, and now what? I think a lot of us have started our journey and gotten a little off course and kind of have struggled to find our way back. So we want to keep some things in mind when we're out there in the open waters of professional development. We want to continue to visualize that wind in our sails. Remember our motivation, our vision of the future. What is keeping us moving forward? What is it? Why? Why have we started this journey in the first place? We want you to remember that you are the captain of your ship. This ship cannot survive without you. It cannot survive without your hard work, your dedication, and your specific knowledge. So if you choose to change the direction of your sails and set out on a different course, you can. If the course you've chosen so far isn't working for you, or if you are halfway through and you decide to change courses, that IMPACT Registry and that careers pathway can help you kind of veer and find the course that's most meaningful to you. So we want to make sure you realize that there are people and there are tools out there to help guide you. You want to choose your crew wisely. The crew on board our professional development ship can help us float or can cause us to sink. So we want to make sure that we have surrounded ourselves with solid crew members who can work with us as a team and can help us reach our destination safely. When we fail to work as a crew, that's a quick way to set our ship off course. So we really want to look around us and say, who are the people that are helping keep me afloat? And lastly, we think it's great to have a professional mentor that you can call for a May Day. Who is that person that you can call at the end of the day and say, hey, I really need your help. I don't know where I'm going. It might be it might be an advisor. It might be an infant toddler specialist that you've worked with. There are lots of people out there who are here to help and want to help keep you afloat. Being an early childhood educator is not an easy task, so we want to look for someone who's sailed this course before us and look to them for advice, to pathways, and their experiences. Know who you can call to help send out that life preserver when you find yourself feeling like you're sinking or veering off course. But land ho, that destination is within sight. There are all of these great tools to help you get there, and we want to make sure that you know and have access to all of these tools to help you on your journey. The journey is waiting for anyone who's ready to embark from the port. So, remember, you can contact Mary or you can contact your infant toddler specialist if you have more questions about those courses that we talked about in the beginning. Paula is going to take us into our resources and help us gain some knowledge on other places that we can find the information we talked about and some other resources.
Hi, everybody. I just did want to go over with you again some of the resources. This training was jam-packed with information. So, if you're looking at the screen now, take a quick picture with your phone. That helps sometimes, or write these down. So some of the resources that we wanted to mention again, the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network, of course. All of you should be aware of that because you're on here, the www.va-itsnetwork.org. That's where you can get all the information about who your local infant and toddler specialist is. Also, the infant mental health consultants that are in your region that Dawn was talking about. That's a great new service we're offering, and we're really wanting people to get in touch with those professionals to get help with all that social, emotional, challenging behaviors, mental health, stress. So definitely check out our website for that as well. Also, Christy talked about the Virginia IMPACT Registry. And again, we're encouraging everybody to go on that, to log in all your information and create an account. That's www.va-impactregistry.org. Also, Christy talked about, skip one, the Project Pathfinder Scholarship at www.vecf.org. Oh, actually, Mary talked about that one. And the other scholarship can be found at www.dss.virginia.gov. You have to go to child care, and then there's training, and you can find the scholarship under there. Those are great, great, great services that the state is offering that we want to encourage everybody to try to utilize. The money's there. Let's spend it. Also, on the Virginia Department of Social Services website at www.dss.virginia.gov. You can also go to the TIPS calendar on that, and Christy mentioned the TIPS calendar where you can find local trainings in your area. Just click on them. That'll tell you who's conducting it, if there's a cost, if it's free. I noticed Christy mentioned in our chat and also online the trainings that the infant toddler specialists offer in their local regions are offered free, but our day-long conferences, 1, 2, 3 Read, CEPL, our new conference coming up, celebrating babies and tots, all those great. There is a fee associated with them, but it's always a great, great day to have that. So I just wanted to mention those. Again, if you have any questions about these, you can contact one of us, and we can definitely help you with that. So now we're going to open the floor. I know people have been typing their questions in kind of as we go. If you have any questions about resources, about where to access the information that we've spoken about today, or questions even about, how to get in touch with perhaps an advisor or something like that, if you would go ahead and type that into the chat box, we'll take those questions. Unfortunately, we're not able to answer specific questions about your specific pathway or course. If you do have questions about where you are on the career pathways or how to use that, Mary would be the one to contact that we spoke with earlier. Do we have any questions? All right, I'm not seeing any more questions. We hope we've given you all of the information to get you started on your journey. Oh, I'm sorry, there is a question. Can you skip from the career pathways from a level 4 to level 5? Christy, are you able to address that? Christy's got to get unmuted here for just a minute.
Christy, are you able to hear us? Okay. We're going to try to get Christy back on the line here. Mary, are you still with us? They're asking if there's a projected date for when we'll find out about the Pathfinders. Do we know when that grant is supposed to come through?
Yes. Usually the application last summer was like the beginning to middle of July, and you had until like the second week in August. I would hopefully, I know that they stopped April 30th for summer classes, so I would hope by June we'd hear something. But I highly recommend, you still apply through DSS. For one thing, Project Pathfinders is going to ask you that on the application if you applied, and that is a requirement. If you fill out that Project Pathfinders application and you haven't, then the scholarship advisor will contact you and tell you to fill it, the DSS one out first.
Thanks, Mary. I've also heard, on the flip side of that, we have heard that when the money is there and it is available, that they do contact you very quickly after you apply. So it's not a long waiting process. So, if you're ready to start that journey, you want to go ahead and get that application into the DSS scholarship as well as the Pathfinders and be ready to take your journey. We have one more question about the value of CDAs decreasing and what pathway you should really take as far as your professional development. I can speak personally to the fact that I think any professional development is really going to be helpful, and it really just depends on an individual preference for that person and actually what's available to them. We have to look at schedule, we have to look at budget. We're really looking at that course and their specific itinerary and map and what's going to work best for them and how that's going to feed into their future. Christy's back.
Yeah.
Christy, are you able to add anything or answer that other question?
Absolutely. So I hung up instead of unmuting myself. Apologies. So in response to that question, and I certainly absolutely 100% agree with Lisa's statement that it really might be a more personal preference. I think that different agencies sometimes place value in other places. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Head Start put value on a CDA, and that's something that's required. Even if you hold a degree, they do want you to go back for a CDA. So I think it really depends on an individual and the agency. But what I will add in, if someone is looking at this career pathways chart and trying to make a decision about their path, it's important to recognize and maybe utilize Mary or someone within your organization who's walked this path so they can understand it better. Because if you'll notice, at level 3, it says CDA or another child-related training certificate or 12 college credits. Often when you do the research, and Mary can either confirm or deny what I'm going to say, the courses that you're required to take for your CDA can also be applied towards an associate. So if someone thinks they'd like to get an associate and is worried about that, they could strategically plan, which is why we're definitely recommending that you chart your course very carefully. You may have the option of taking courses for your CDA that will eventually net you an associate's degree. Obviously, there'd be more courses you'd have to take to get the associate. However, I think the purpose of this chart is to help you understand that you don't have to just choose one or the other, but you can use it to build upon the previous level of education that you chose for yourself. So I think that all of them are very valuable, as I mentioned before, and different parts of your life or different times in your life you may decide for whatever reason or another that one path is going to work better for you. As far as going from level 4 to level 5, so the other thing to understand here is that you don't necessarily have to go into, follow this in order. That's why it's broken up by color, because the Career Studies Early Childhood Development Certificate, which is level 4, and is very separate from the 1-year Early Childhood Development Certificate. I believe both of them are available through DSS. And so it really is just a matter of you determining where you'd like to go. So if you did get to level 4 and you were happy with where you were and you're ready to move forward, the 1-year certificate may not be your next path. Your next path might be the associate's degree, or you might want to go right to the bachelor's degree. So it just depends on the individual, the amount of time the individual wants to spend on that course. And as Lisa mentioned, having a mentor, perhaps someone who's taken those courses to help you understand whether or not they feel like that might be the best path for you, because maybe you've already taken similar courses and you'd rather get into a situation where you can learn a few more or very different things. I do see another question about CEUs, but I don't know that I understand the question. It says, I have CEUs, will this count to help me advance? And I think the determination on whether or not they count, I would say everything always counts. However, it just depends on what you're trying to apply it towards. So oftentimes we look at CEUs as college credits, but again, you have to determine the agency or the entity that you're trying to receive those credits with to see if they accept those credits. So that's sort of a harder question to answer for an associate's degree. Great. So that would, you'd have to, so you're doing it at NOVA, it sounds like. Thanks, Elizabeth. I see you're responding. So you would want to contact NOVA to ensure that whatever CEUs you are earning are going to count towards the degree that you are attempting to earn.
Thanks, Christy. And thank you for you guys who did ask questions. You know, we do love to clarify things as much as possible on our webinars. We know that sometimes it's hard to contact people after you get off of here because you guys are busy people. Right now, we're going to conclude the webinar. I'm going to hand this over to my colleague Kelly to wrap up for you, and she will explain to you how participants can receive their certificates and give you those logistics.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you to all the presenters today. It was a great webinar full of lots of information for everybody. This is just a reminder that this webinar has been brought to you by the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network. In order to receive your certificate of participation in this webinar, you must fill out the evaluation and either mail, fax, or email it to Child Development Resources. Once your evaluation has been received, a certificate will be sent to you. The contact information for Child Development Resources is located on the evaluation that was sent to you after you registered for the webinar. If you have any questions, please contact your regional infant and toddler specialist. You may also go to www.va-itsnetwork.org to print the handouts and evaluation form from today's webinar. They are located under the Professional Development tab. And then click on Audio, Conference, and Webinar link. And we look forward to hearing from you. We have an extra bonus with today's webinar. Just move the slide here. So as an extra bonus for participating in today's webinar, you can be entered into a raffle to win a prize. You just simply submit your evaluation by June 1st, and your name is entered into the raffle. It's that easy. Winners will be announced on our Facebook page and notified by email. I would also like to mention our next upcoming webinar scheduled for June 21st. We will be talking about the CDC's new Milestone Tracker app and how you can use the app in your child care setting. And I'm going to just briefly turn it over to Christy John for a few final words. Christy, are you with us?
Hopefully Christy did not accidentally hang up again. We're going to go ahead and conclude the webinar. I just wanted to, are you back, Christy John? Okay, she's out. We just want to remind you again, in order to receive a certificate for the participation in this webinar, you must fill out that evaluation form, and you must either mail it, fax it, or email it to CDR. All right, well, this concludes our webinar on charting your professional development course for infants and toddler caregivers. We thank you for joining us today. Your evaluation form, we do have a couple questions. Your evaluation form, you received it in an email when you sent in your registration. You received an email confirmation that included that evaluation, but you can also access it from the website, the www.ba-itsnetwork.org, through the professional development and audio conference and webinar tabs. It is listed with the handouts from today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your continued awesome work with infants and toddlers. Have a good day.